talking about Yahushai. Then said Yahushai unto them, Yet a little while am I with you, then I go unto him that sent me. You shall seek me and shall not find me, and where I am, thither you cannot come. Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles, and teach the Gentiles? So in essence, what were they saying here? Is the Lord, or they didn't believe he was the Lord, but they were saying, is this man, is he going to go to those that were dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Meaning that those Israelites that were among the Gentiles, or the real heathens, they became Gentiles. They became heathens. Why? Going back to the book of Romans, the 2nd chapter. For circumcision verily profiteth if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. And who were the only people that were given the law? The nation of Israel. So the only ones that could become uncircumcised after being circumcised, or those that were circumcised becoming uncircumcised, are the Israelites. Alright? And that's why they said this. It said, Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles, and teach the Gentiles? Now, we'll go from there to the book of James, the 1st chapter. This is the book of James, the 1st chapter and the 1st verse, just so you can see who those dispersed were. James, the servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushai, to the 12 tribes which are scattered, dispersed, it's the same word. James, the servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushai, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So he was giving salutations. The brother of Yahushai, James, was giving a salutation to those Israelites that were scattered abroad. Now, let's go from there to the book of St. John, the 11th chapter, and the 47th verse, I believe it is. St. John chapter 11, verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and Pharisees a council, and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. So basically they were having a council on what they were going to do to Yahushua, because he was messing up their flow. He was messing up their money. He was messing up their status. He was messing up everything that they worked so hard to gain. Their status among the Romans, their positions, you know, all based upon the spirit that the Heavenly Father put upon him. That's why they were coming together and having these councils, because they wanted to destroy the man, because he was not a man that was gonna just go fall in line with their bullshit, you know. And he basically was cursing them out. They knew that they couldn't get to him, so they were saying, well, look, what are we gonna do with this man? Because obviously there's many miracles that are being done by him. If we let him alone, if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. Why? Because Yahushua had that persuasion. And there were certain men, even among the brothers that we are today. I'm not going to mention any names, but there are certain men among us where you have had people that have made the same statement. No, you can't say this. You can't speak on that, because whenever you say something, everybody believes it, because you have a way of twisting and turning and saying certain things that make people believe it. You know. I'm not gonna say who that is, you know. They know who they are, you know. But that's the main point. So that was the same thing with the Lord. But see, the Lord back then, he had power to do certain things and power to heal people. So it was more than just the words and the things that he taught. There was more power in it, because he had the spiritual power. Okay, If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. So they knew that they would believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. Why? Because they were set up by the Romans. And not only were they set up by the Romans, you had the Edomites, which was Herod and his people, that were set up, that basically were supposed to be governors and and leaders in Israel. So these Pharisees and them, the wicked ones, they fell in line up under them. It says, and one of them named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, you know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. Now check the word whole here. He said that the whole nation perish not. Matter of fact, let's look that word up. This is St. John 11 verse 50. And you brothers get in the habit of looking things up. Get in the habit of looking up certain words. Get in the habit of looking up certain definitions of words, and then that way that'll build your spirit up too, man. This is the book of John chapter 11 verse 50, that the whole, holos, alright, holos, which means all, whole, completely. It's meaning that when we go back here to John, it says, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people. Who's these people? The nation of Israel. And that the whole nation perish not. Why? Because you had Israelites that were scattered away from these Israelites that were in Israel. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation. That nation. Now, this is a learned man of Israel. Even though he was one of the men that caused Yahushua to be crucified, he was one of the top men in Israel, a learned man. He knew about the law. He knew the scriptures back and forth. He just wasn't spiritual, but he understood the scriptures. So he said, and he prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of the Most High, which are the Israelites that were scattered abroad. You see? And then what do we read over there in the book of James? We're going to go back to it. James chapter 1 verse 1. It says, James, the servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. That's why the Pharisees said this in St. John 7:35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go into the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So they knew that you had Israelites that were scattered among these other nations. So they were saying, look, are you going to go over there to those Israelites, the uncircumcision, the Gentiles, the heathens? Wait a minute, according to the law they were cast out. So how in the hell is he going to go over there and teach them? That was their whole mentality, because according to them, only the tribe of Judah could be saved. That's how they were looking at it. Now, we're going to go back to Maccabees. First Maccabees, the first chapter, and 11th verse. It says, and in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. So they had a license to do this wickedness. It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem. In Jerusalem. They was working out butt naked and all that. In Jerusalem. According to the customs of the heathens, and made themselves uncircumcised. These were Jews. Are not the Jews of circumcision? Yes. Well, let's find out. I want to get another. Let's go to the book of Romans, the first chapter. And I'm sorry, not the first chapter. Romans 3 and 1. What advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? So the Jew is the circumcision, not because he was circumcised, but because he was given the laws. That was a circumcision. So it says, what advantage then hath the Jew, or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of the Most High, which was the laws. So the laws is what made them circumcised. So it's not just the fact of being circumcised in the flesh, because remember, even Abraham circumcised some of the other nations that were around him. Some of his servants, he circumcised them. So it wasn't just the circumcision that made them. It was the fact that they were Jews, that they were Israelites, and they were keeping the law. That's what they were called, circumcision. That's why when we read in the book of 1 Corinthians, here we go over here. 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, the 19th verse. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of the Most High. Alright? So now, going back to the book of Romans, chapter 2, verse 25. For circumcision verily profiteth if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision, as we read in the book of 1 Maccabees.